Hi everyone! You'll now hear a brief retelling of the movie Espen in the Troll Kingdom. Enjoy the film! An ancient legend says that an ugly troll, the Mountain King, sleeps in the highest mountain. Only one thing can awaken a troll, a princess who did not get married before her 18th birthday. Therefore, whether the girls wanted it or not, they had to agree to marriage before it was too late. Here came the Danish Prince Frederick to the castle, claiming the hand and heart of Christine. During the feast, he boasts about how he strangled a bear with his bare hands. Christine didn't like this shorty at all. But the father did not give the princess a choice. Tomorrow she will turn 18. Otherwise the Mountain King will drag her into the cave and make her his slave. But Christine didn't care about the old legend and ran away from the castle. She ran past a guy named Espen and pushed him into the water. The peasant replied to her in the same way. The chatty simpleton irritates the princess, but the girl did not decline the opportunity to take a bite of his carrot. Christine didn't give her name and after snacking continued her journey. Esben is the youngest of the three brothers and he's also the laziest and most clueless. He was dispatched to the market to purchase vegetables, but the avaricious princess consumed them all. Well, I will have to go hunting, and Espen men do not take with them. Sit and dig in the hall.
You're solely driven.
Digging in the hall, Espen heard some noise. The fool imagined that they were trolls and began waving a poker. Fragments of smoldering logs were scattered around the house and caused a fire that Espen was unable to do anything about. And soon the fire consumed the entire house. Christine drove deep into the forest and heard the sound of trees snapping and a creature of some sort screaming. The horse threw her off and fled. Soon the monster caught up with the princess. The hunters returned in the morning with their prey and found that they no longer had homes. Everything burned down, even the portrait of the peasant's deceased wife. Frederick approached the fire victims. He is looking for the runaway bride, and Espen could not convincingly lie that he did not see the girl. The man defends his son, saying he's quite the storyteller. Yesterday, trolls appeared to him. Right away, Frederick blurts out that if the princess was really kidnapped by a troll, then whoever saves her will get both the princess and half the kingdom. Dad gave the remaining money to the elder brothers and sent them in search of the princess. Perhaps they will be rewarded and they will be able to rebuild the house. And here Espen is now on his own. His father no longer desires to see him. The guy followed his brothers. He discovered a broken mirror and picked it up. Esben consistently picks up all sorts of junk. He also did not hesitate to take the old. Suddenly he heard someone calling for help. The brothers did not wait for him and went on. Esben found an old woman with a long nose stuck in a crack in a tree during his journey. You will have to work with an axe. Do you want me to cut off your nose? Are you sick? Just widen the crack in the tree. Having been freed, the old woman growled and complained that she hadn't eaten anything in a long time. Espen gave her the last potato. The old woman knows more about the legend than others. For instance, only one sword can penetrate the cave of the Mountain King. He is called Svega. This sword disappeared many years ago in an impenetrable swamp. And malevolence resides in this swamp. Espen was provided with a map to aid him in reaching the location he must go to. Just inquire with her. Esben asked about the Svegar sword's location, and the map immediately showed the way to it. The guy found the princess's decoration, but didn't notice that he was standing on a huge footprint. A messenger ran into the palace, but he was so out of breath that he couldn't tell the king and queen for a long time that Christine's horse had been found, or rather its remains. There was also a huge tooth found there. The princess woke up in some cave with goats. The exit is obstructed by a big stone. Esben utilizes an ancient helmet in place of a cauldron, and his famished brothers stumbled upon a basket that was filled with golden apples. The guys decided that no one would notice the disappearance if they each took one, but the fruits turned out to be incredibly delicious. The brothers ate absolutely all the apples and enjoyed themselves. Suddenly, girls appeared out of nowhere and led the guys somewhere, promising to give them even more of such apples. The company stopped in front of a stone wall which immediately disappeared. Espen saw them from afar, and to go further, he also needed to take a bite of an apple. Finally, he discovered brothers who were indulging, surrounded by nymphs. Why do they not remain in this place for eternity? But suddenly the charms began to release Esben. He realized that they were being drugged with apples. All the food ended up being spoiled, and the young girls were hideous witches with repulsive voices. Now we need to convince the brothers to stop eating junk and get out of here. Esben had to give them a slap in the face to bring them to their senses. However, the witches are determined not to let them go so easily and relentlessly pursue the peasants. The brothers successfully managed to flee from the witches' lair just moments before the stone walls sealed shut. They are traveling together again. Esben told the brothers that trolls turn to stone in the sun and come alive at night. When the passage was open, one of the goats came out of the cave, but was immediately eaten by a troll. Only a pile of bones remained from him. Now Espen discovered a ball of yarn and also put it in his pocket. Chubby brother Paul noticed the town and insisted that they go into a tavern and have a meal and some drinks to satisfy their hunger and thirst. Prince Frederick was also present at the same establishment. He mocks the waitress and shows disdain for the poor in general. Like many others, he believes that trolls are a fiction. The servant pointed out to the prince the brothers they had met before, and they managed to overhear about an unusual sword and a magical map. The prince suggests taking a bag of coins for valuable information. This will be enough to build a house. There will be more. Esben does not believe Frederico's words that he wants to save the princess because they love each other madly. Why did she run away from the wedding? The prince's nerves gave way. Pierre's older brother also demands that Espen give up the map, but instead he slapped the prince in the face with a hot pudding. A fight. The prince intends to chop off Espen and stabbed him with a sword, but the guy saved himself by hiding behind a huge rolling pin. His life was hanging by a thread again. But Frederick made a mistake by stepping into the plate of a hobo and was thrown against the wall. The brothers ran into the forest. The prince with his men is chasing them, but there is nowhere else to run. There is a precipice ahead. If the brothers give up the map, Frederick promises not to harm them much. Espen remembers how they used to jump from the barn in their childhood. The chubby one then broke his arm, and now they decided to take a risk and jumped into the water from a great height. Pierre scolds his brother. They needed to take the money. In vain, naive Espen thinks that the princess will marry him. And I also had a fight with Frederick, and he strangled the bear with his bare hands. Because of his stupidity, others suffer. Our family will be much happier if you disappear. After the fight, Pierre demands that the card be given to him, and Espen complied. The guy was delighted with another find, an old bear skin. Suddenly she might come in handy. The troll pulled Christine's hand, and she stabbed him in his finger with a sharp bone. The girl tried to escape, but was immediately caught by the monster. She tells the troll that without a wedding dress there will be no wedding. And he tossed her backward. The siblings arrived at the marsh. They were greeted by a sign that read, "Please, for the love of God, go back." The map stopped showing the way. Esben got stuck and fell behind his brothers, but Frederick came out to them with servants. Esben found a pond with a sword in it, and he dived under the water. But Svega is guarded by some wooden creatures. They dragged Espen under the water. However, he was able to defeat them with the help of a sword. Pola and Pierre were taken captive. The last one has a plan. He threw dirt in the healthy guy's eyes and tried to run away, but his horse didn't obey and didn't move from its place. Esben made a decision to try out the sword. With one simple movement, he chopped down the tree. Our hero saw that his brothers were captured. When the crossbowman Gunnar went to pee, the bear growled at him. Frederick and his servants set off on the run. However, Espen overestimated his disguise and crashed into a cart that had no intention of running away. The sword and the map were immediately taken away. Frederick plans to rule the kingdom alone. Accidents frequently occur during hunting, and Christine might not go. Frederick is planning to enter the cave at dawn, when the troll, allegedly, will be sleeping. The brothers are hungry, they are being mocked, and a duck is being thrown at their feet. Suddenly the horses became nervous, heard unfamiliar sounds, and then the loud noise of a troll. The princes with the meadows quickly fled. Espen started to fray the rope with a stone. The last moment before the troll tore out the tree, the brothers managed to free themselves. But the monster reached Frederick. He ordered the servants to cover him, but they were simply eaten by the monster. Frederick climbed to the very top of the spruce. The ultimate servant who managed to survive joined him. Behold, here comes the formidable troll. Frederick thanked the guy for his service and threw him off the tree to distract the monster. But you can't fool a troll so easily. Soon after Frederick, plump Paul fell into his paws. Espen cried. He blames himself for everything. But this time, Pierre decided to comfort his younger brother. In the last few days, he has shown himself in the best possible way. So now is not the time to give up. It's time to save Paul. They threw him and Frederick into the cave with the princess. The prince admits that he loves Christine, but Paul immediately betrayed him. Here it is pouring.
Just needs...
Throne.
He said.
Will kill you after the wedding. To shut Frederick up, the princess knocked him out with a bone. The girl threatens with a bone and a floor, but upon hearing the name, Espen revived. Apparently, she liked the talkative redhead. Esben lured the firefly into an empty jar of honey, thus obtaining a lantern. They went to the mountain with their brother. Gathering courage, they entered the cave. Inside, a labyrinth awaited. Here's where a ball of thread will come in handy, which will help them get back. Suddenly, Espen fell through the ground and almost fell from a great height. At the same time, he found prisoners. They will take turns lifting them up on a rope with Pierre. Paul was the first to be dragged. Frederick was tied up and threatens to avenge the princess. But despite everything, it was decided to save him. It seemed that a troll was approaching, and our heroes fell silent.
I am unable to hear. Please do not complain to me. Pull the lever.
Heading towards the exit of the cave, the company stumbled upon a sleeping troll. A huge creation blocked their path with my tail, which now needs to be jumped over. By the way, the troll got a wedding dress for Christine. Frederick was supposed to jump over the last tail. However, he got scared, stumbled, and fell on him, causing the troll to wake up instantly. Everyone rushed outside. The sun is nearly rising. To expedite their illumination, you must ascend. The Mountain King is pursuing them. Frederick needs help again. Esben saved him, and the prince decided to hide among the stones. The four climbed to the top of the mountain ridge. Here the troll also got in. Espen pulled out a magic sword and began to chop off the monster's legs. One movement of a huge hand and Espen flew in one direction, and the sword in another. Pierre was seriously injured. The sun has almost risen. Esben rummages through his things and finds a mirror. The guy climbed to the very top and directed a beam of light at the troll just at the moment when the monster was about to crush Christina Paul. Gradually, the monster turned into stone and became motionless. The dawn has arrived. The princess kicked a stone statue. She fell down and broke into many pieces. Frederick himself went to the palace. He observed a big-nosed elderly woman and chuckled at her. Thus, she demonstrated to him the incorrect path. The messenger hurriedly returned to the king once more. You are aware your physical condition is extremely poor for someone in the role of a messenger. At the same time as the messenger entered the palace, the princess entered with her rescuers. Esben refused to rule the kingdom. They will have enough money for a new house. The king agrees that Christine will marry whoever she wants and whenever she wants. The brothers returned to their father. The man was glad to see even the youngest. He apologized for his words. Shortly after, the house was reconstructed. Kristen approached Espen to offer him a lift on her horse. And Frederick was on the verge of encountering the woodland nymphs, who nourished him with luscious golden apples.